So I just joined a 6-week mentorship program with the amazing artist Dom Lay, who I was able to interview earlier this year on the channel. Me and 7 other people have the lucky privilege to be able to learn from Dom and get better at art. And since Dom's such a cool guy, he let me record all the sessions and share what I learned from him with all of you. So this first week was about values. Now values, if you don't know, values are the black and white part of the color if the hue remains constant. It's one of the 7 elements of design. I think there's a total of 7, and you basically need to know it if you want to get good at art and do it professionally. So to better understand values, you can do something that's called a value study. And what you do for a value study is you go and you find some artist that you like, you go take their picture, you throw it in Photoshop, you make it black and white, and you just copy it. But just copying something is hard to do, especially if you don't really know what you're looking at. So this is where somebody like Dom or a mentor can come in and tell you how to see like an artist so you can pay attention to what you need to be copying and how you can do it effectively. Some tips Dom gave for singing were starting from the background and working your way to the foreground, lock in big shapes first, then medium shapes, then small shapes, make broad, fast brush strokes to block things in so you can get nice edges and you can always smudge them later. Also, with edges, lean really heavily on your lasso tool and use it a lot. For highlights, channel your inner Ross Tran and use color dodge. Ironically, it's actually awesome. It's not just a meme. It really makes your lights pop. And then lastly, use a textured brush for, you guessed it, texture on top of all of your flat block-ins to give it some character. So after Dom demonstrates, I give it a shot on my own. Something I do with my own value studies is I start with 3 or 4 values tops, the highlight, a midtone or 2, and then the shadow color to see if I can simplify the image enough using only those. And then maybe at the end I throw in some more values and color pick just to try to flesh things out. The biggest problem I ran into this on my first attempt was not knowing how to add texture. Like, sure, I had a textured brush, but it felt like I was just throwing stuff around trying to make it look cool. I also just felt really clunky in general. So this first one took me an hour, and I sent it in the Discord for some feedback, and then Dom did a paint over for me in a whole video. It was 20 minutes, crazy long, really in depth. It was amazing. And basically what I learned was, 1, I didn't account for atmospheric perspective enough, and I had my blacks too dark. I needed more nuance. 2, I didn't have pen pressure on like an idiot, so I didn't have the nuance or subtlety needed in order to actually use those texture brushes as well as I could. And then 3, I never changed the size of my brush, that's why it felt clunky, and I never really got to those small nitty-gritty details. I did I did big and medium shapes okay, but then I never really went beyond that. So taking those 3 big takeaways, I started again, this time with pen pressure on, being more aware of not going too dark, and then prepared to make my brush small and actually zoom in and work on details. And let me just say, I had a lot of fun doing this, a lot more fun doing art than I have in a while. This time lapse here, my second attempt, took me about 2 hours compared to the 1 hour of the first try, so double the time, but I had more fun. And why was that? Well, the reason I had more fun was that I actually had a mentor be able to give me critique and advice on my own art applicable to me. As a self-taught artist, this whole time, I would have to go through and try to apply other tutorials, be that on, Learn Square to Schoolism or YouTube, and then try to apply that to myself. I never actually had a mentor one-on-one give me direct feedback and say, hey, for where you're at, for what I see, do this immediate thing right now to improve today. So here they are side by side, my value studies. The left one was an hour, the right one was 2 hours. And all in all, I learned a lot. It was great. Dom was amazing. I hope this video helped you. You can find the link to all of Dom's stuff down below, along with some other links that I found helpful. See you next time.